Hello everyone, welcome to National Internship Week. Great to have so many of you here already. I can see we've got over 400 people watching. So fantastic to have you all here for Boost Your Employability with the Summer Internship at PwC. My name's Jake. I'm going to be hosting on behalf of Career Map, who have kindly put together this whole week. We've had so many calls already and it's only Tuesday, which is fantastic. I'm going to be joined by a couple of people from PwC. I can see you popping up in the corner. But like I said, my name's Jake. There's a couple of people here from PwC that need to really introduce themselves as well.
Hi everyone, my name's Charlotte. I'm one of the talent engagement managers here at PwC.
I think you might be on mute, Charlotte. Or if you aren't, I can't hear you. It would help if I turned on my headset. That would be useful.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, no, that was just me in that one.
I was thinking, oh no, fallen at the first hurdle. Hi everyone, my name's Charlotte. I'm one of the talent engagement managers here at PwC. I'm going to be hosting sort of the PwC session. I actually sort of look after some of the internships and sort of liaise with the business and help with the structure of the internships that we offer that you'll hear about today. So it's nice to meet you all in this sort of strange virtual environment. I'll hand over to Chloe.
Hi everyone, I'm Chloe. I'm a manager within PwC, but I actually did a summer internship back in the summer of 2015, so I can share my experience with you all, both on the internship and since staying at PwC.
As well, so we will get around to answering your questions if you do pop them in chat. But like I said, I think that's all from me. I need to pass over to you really and set you on your way.
Fab, thank you very much. Okay, so hi, yeah, it's so nice to see so many of you joining us. I'm just going to quickly chat through what we're going to cover over the next hour. So we've got an action-packed agenda for you all, which is hopefully going to be super useful when it gets you thinking about your next steps and what you want to do sort of as a student. So we're going to start off with who are PwC. In fact, it would be quite nice in the chat. I mean, how many of you have actually heard of PwC before or done a program with us? How do you feel like you know us quite well? Just pop sort of like a yes in there or a no. It'd be quite good to get a bit of a sense of how much you know about us as guests. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to meet some of the team. So as we've already mentioned, we've got Chloe and Goni who are going to chat through their experience, and then there's going to be the opportunity for you to ask them questions, so sort of really pick their brains about their experience. Then you're going to move on, hand back over to me, where I'm going to talk about our internship opportunities. So exactly, potentially depending on what year you're at university, exactly what will be, applicable to you. And then I'm going to talk you through the selection process and give you a few top tips for you to hopefully be successful as you go through that selection process. And then finally, we'll just move into any final questions that might pop up over the course of the session. Okay, so I can see a few of you heard of us. Perfect. Not too sure what areas you cover. Fab. Okay, well, hopefully this session is going to help clear that up. Okay, so starting with who are PwC? So PwC are we're a global we're part of a global network. So we are PwC UK. Some of you might know that we have offices all over the world. PwC UK has 18 offices across the UK. So you can probably see right now, I think we're all working from home, but we have offices. I'm based in Manchester. And we have two offices in London, office in Bristol, an office in Belfast, Birmingham, Aberdeen, Leeds, all over the country. So 18 offices across the UK, which is really exciting and a really exciting opportunity for students, across the UK to be able to get involved in our internships and undergraduate programs that we offer as well, because you don't have to be based in London, which is, fantastic. We have over 22,000 employees in the UK office, and sort of that then equates to sort of 284,000 around the world in over 150 countries. So, we really are a huge network, and PwC UK makes up a really good chunk of that network globally as well. We're also really proud that we are the leading private sector employer in the Times Top 100 graduate employers. I don't know if any of you have seen on campus, it's well, back in my day, when they printed stuff on paper, which they don't do as much anymore, it was a black and red book, Times Top 100 book, where you could sort of go and see, some leading graduate employers, and there was like the civil service, the NHS, and some of the other big four as well. But we are and have been for many, many years the leading private sector employer, an employer of choice for students, which is great. We work with over 25,300 clients, helping them to create the value that they're looking for. So, we always say that PwC is not, we don't have any physical products. I'm wearing a PwC hoodie right now, but we don't sell our products in shops. You won't go into a shop and see something PwC branded. Our product is our people, and our clients that come to us to work with us. And we are also one of the UK's largest recruiters of school leavers, undergraduates and graduates. It's a huge machine, and working in the student recruitment team, you see a lot of it. We took on around 1,500 plus graduates this year. They've just joined the business now. So it was a big operation getting people into work for us. And likewise, we have a lot of undergraduate programs as well. So those internships that I'm going to speak to you about. So yeah, that's a little bit about us, a little bit of an overview. And I'm now just going to quickly talk to you about ESG. So I'm not sure how much of you have heard about ESG before. So that stands for environmental, social and governance. And it's really, really important. It's important for us here at PwC. And I think, getting the message across, all of our clients and also students as well. I think everybody is really feeling that environment and sustainability is super important in everything that we do. So PwC, we're striving to achieve net zero. We're making really, really good progress. In fact, I believe recently, I've just seen on LinkedIn the other day that we have actually achieved an award for our sort of our strive to achieve net zero, and we're one of the first employers to get that award. I can't remember off the top of my head what that award is, but you'll see it on LinkedIn, which is really, really nice. And it makes me feel really proud to work for a firm that are sort of really making sure that everything that we do is sustainable. So ESG is embedded into everything we do. We sort of help both clients and also our people deliver improvements by focusing on things like reducing the environmental impact of our business here at PwC, creating a leading sustainable supply chain program as well, and considering human rights issues, including modern slavery, across all operations and supply chain. And that's not just sort of at that's not just internally facing, but also the clients that we work with as well. Whenever we're coming up with solutions, we'll always have ESG. It's at the heart of what we're doing. So yeah, we just wanted to introduce that as well. Okay, so what do we do? So PwC provides industry-focused services for public and private clients. So, we work with public sector, we work with individual clients, we'll do wealth management with specific clients, and our aim is to be recognised as the leading professional services firm. Our strategy is to be tech-enabled, deliver exceptional value to our clients, empower our people and lead by example, and also invest in sustainable growth. So I think I saw someone's comment on here where they said, not entirely sure what areas we cover. Here you can see our areas. So we have 10 business areas that we cover, and they're what we call our lines of service. You might hear this be quite sort of we talk about a lot, and Chloe and Goni will go into the line of service that they actually have worked in as well. But across all of these, we'll provide different. It depends on what the client wants and what the client needs. You may well have a client that specifically just needs to work with in our sort of I've just lost my words. Sort of have meetings and consultations with just our legal line of service, but actually you might find that clients actually need to work cross line of service depending on what their actual needs are. So these are all the areas, and we recruit into all of these business areas in different ways. So for example, if you want to get into consulting or audit, you can join audit and consulting as an intern. but there are some that you can't. So for example, technology, we don't offer technology internships. If you want to get into technology here at PwC, you need to actually get into that via one of our school leaver programs. But I'll explain all of that as we go through the programs. So that's PwC. It's a little bit about what we do and who we are. So hopefully that's set the scene. And we're going to move on now to meeting some of our team. So really, really delighted to have Chloe and Goni with us today. So I'm going to start with Chloe. So Chloe, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yep, so gave a brief introduction at the start, but I'll give you guys a bit more detail. So I actually studied neuroscience at university, so nothing to do with business whatsoever. But I did that with the intention of joining a firm like PwC, so going into business. And it's just really the core skills that you need that are more important than what you actually studied. So I did a summer internship back in 2015. That was the summer between my second and third year of university. And as part of that summer internship, I was working with some clients in Southampton, which was a really great experience because I actually got to go and be on client site, stay over in a hotel, have some nice food, which was quite different to being a student the rest of the year. But also work with a few different people at PwC, see what it was really like. Obviously, I didn't really have experience of like working in business because my degree was nothing to do with that. So it was really great to actually be able to experience it before deciding if it was the right career for me. Luckily, at the end of the internship, they offered me a full-time position for when I finished university. So I came back the following year. So I actually pushed it back to November 2016. I'm not sure if there's still that intake, but basically after summer, when I graduated, I joined as a full-time employee on the grad scheme. I then did 2 years on the grad scheme. After that, got promoted to senior associate. And 3 years after that, I got promoted to manager. In my time at PwC, I've done loads of different projects. I've worked with the NHS to try and help move patients through the hospital. So when people are they're not sick anymore, but they're stuck in hospital because there's no care bed or something like that. Getting all the teams to work together to make sure that people do get home or do get to somewhere that's a better place than hospital for them. I've also worked with some private sector clients, coaching team leaders on how to better manage their teams. And I've done 2 of those projects in the south of France, which was quite nice. March in the south of France is much nicer than in the UK. So there's definitely like international opportunities for projects as well. Most recently, I've actually transferred from our consulting practice into our business solutions practice, which is an internal team, delivering basically what I had been doing for clients, but for PwC itself, because I think we should be applying what we're telling our clients. So it's all about improving the way that we work within PwC. So there's definitely a lot of flexibility, even once you've joined one area. If you find another area that you're interested in and you have the right skills for it, you can move around as well.
Thanks very much, Chloe. Okay, we'll hand over to Goni. Thank you.
Hi everyone, so a little bit about myself. So I study maths and actuarial science at the University of Leicester. I joined PwC this summer on their Women in Business programme. I joined the Actuarial Lines of Services, the RMS team to be specific. So over the course of this programme, I had the opportunity to shadow and network with various professionals across all grades, including one-to-one meetings in which they would share their experiences of working for the firm in the line of service I'd applied for, and also offered some guidance into someone like myself interested in pursuing a similar career path. From this experience, I gained a lot of insight into what working as an actuary really truly means in terms of the day-to-day activities, as up until this point, I had only seen this during the classroom in textbooks, etc. So it was really nice to see this come to life and the relevance in the working world. And I also gained a greater insight into the culture at PwC. So after I completed my program, I was offered the opportunity to become an ambassador for PwC at my university. And so I help out within my careers team at my school and with the student recruitment team at PwC, promoting events on campus for the remainder of the year. I was also offered a summer internship for 2023 as well to rejoin the line of service I had applied to within the Women in Business program. My top tips for anyone interested in applying would be getting in their application early, as I think that does help boost the prospects of success. And my second piece of advice would be utilising events which PwC does host, such as the webinars today, which we're here today, as I did find them very useful when I was applying.
Fab, thank you very much. Yeah, it's really nice to see that, I suppose for both Chloe and Goni, that they've gone through, you know, various different stages since joining as interns. So we're going to move to questions. So
I was just going to say there's a couple of questions popped up that
yeah, that's great. I have seen a couple of messages in the chat just about remuneration and salary. I just want to clear that up, that all of our interns, whether they're doing our 3-day program or our summer internships, do get paid. So and that's all sort of clear on the job description. I can't tell you exactly what the salary is because it varies across whether it's sort of 2 to 3 weeks on the internship, and for women in business it's obviously only 3 days, which again I'll speak about. But yeah, we do pay all of our interns, whether they're just doing our 3-day women in business program, Black Talent in Business, or whether that's the internship. Thank you.
Shall I jump in for the study question? I studied at Glasgow University.
Perfect. There's a couple more. I mean, I'm happy to read them out if you like and go through some of them. So there's one of them from Anya. Says, how did you find the support from PwC as an intern? So when you were starting off as an intern?
What I really liked was actually, but like a couple of weeks before I actually joined, I got an email from like my buddy, which was a associate. That's kind of like the first grade in the firm, that was paired up with me for when I first joined. And they were in my office as well. And so I was able to kind of ask them questions in advance. And then when I started on the first day, I met them in person. They made a real effort to like actually go out and have lunch with me. What are you interested in? What is it that you want to learn? Are there any particular skills that you want to have a go at kind of developing whilst you're here? And they were always really open to being asked questions, or if I was unsure about something. So the right support was there.
Perfect. Any other thoughts about the support you got when starting off as an intern? Maybe Goni?
Yes, so I was also assigned a buddy a few weeks before joining on the program, and he was in contact with me before joining and would check in with me about 2 to 3 times a day whilst I was on the program. And I'm still in contact with my buddy today as well, so it was really helpful. Awesome.
There's a couple of questions come through about the different areas. I know you mentioned earlier on one of the slides, Charlotte, the like 9 or 10 different areas, but there's some questions about specific areas. So whether that's human resources, internships in law, and how you find your own path, if there's certain areas that you're interested in. I wonder if you could shed a bit of light on that, please.
Yeah, definitely. So our human resources, or it's referred to as HC here at PwC, actually sits under our business solutions sort of arms. If I go back to the slide, but we actually don't recruit into sort of the business solutions business area sort of directly. We that falls under operate. Which is I'll cover a couple of the graduate program sort of answers, but you could but there are quite specific offices where we recruit into operate, so that would be internal facing. Chloe, I don't know if you have anything more on that. I don't know if that's something that you're exposed to.
No, I think they are starting a business solutions grad scheme in certain areas, but I'm not sure that there's internships.
Yeah. No, there's definitely no internships and nothing sort of internally facing HR. So.
Okay, maybe just adding on to that question, Soham asked a bit if you can explain a bit more about the deals branch, like what that means, what that includes.
Yeah, so this is testing my knowledge here. So, I mean, the deals team, I guess, first of all, what's I always recommend students, because there's so many lines of service with so many different business areas, to do your research on the website, because the website is super helpful, and I'll pop a link in, but it breaks down all the lines of service, a little bit of an overview with exactly what each line of service do. I haven't worked directly with the deals team, so again, I'm sort of, this is from what I've heard in terms of what they do. They work with clients to essentially help work out, work alongside them to work out whether what business plan they've got in place is going to give them the best sort of return on investment, essentially. That's how I usually explain deals and so they'll sort of work with various different clients to work out if what they're doing is profitable, essentially. Chloe, I don't know if you've worked with deals again in the business. I might be completely wrong here, but that's the one line that I've been told.
I believe they also deal with like mergers and things like that, mergers and acquisitions, and making sure that those all happen as planned. So it can be quite tight timeframes for those. One about what's the office environment like? So I'm in the Bristol office, which so in one of our regions, and that's one of the things I've really enjoyed about working at PwC, because in a lot of the regional offices, people actually all know each other, and as well as actually often we don't even work on projects together. It's more of a social side of things, so we're all working on different stuff, but then when we go to the office, you get to see everyone, and they do kind of quarterly days or stuff in like the evenings organised if people just want to do themselves. I know in like consulting in our sort of mini team, we've even done weekends away and things. In terms of what the office is actually like, they're doing a big office refresh at the moment, so kind of redesigning it post-COVID. To make it work for everyone. I've been asking like what people value. My personal favorite perks: free coffee machine with proper coffee, which makes a big difference. And we have a kind of big open space at the top of the building called the Loft that has like a pool table and can be used for kind of events and or client presentations, which is quite a nice thing to use.
Awesome. Well, like I said, there's a few more questions, but I think they're more about the specifics. So I'll let you run through the rest of your presentation. And if for anyone in chat, if there's any questions that didn't get answered over the next few minutes of the presentation, do feel to drop them in again, and we'll have plenty of time at the end.
That's great. Chloe's got to dial off, but Gonnie's going to stick around to answer some questions at the end. So Chloe, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, so I'm going to go over our internship opportunities. I've seen quite a few questions around like whether internships are available to people after they've graduated. Unfortunately, I'll talk to you about one of the internships one of our opportunities that are, but unfortunately they're not. They are only available to undergraduates, so people that are still studying towards their degree. So hopefully that clears that up. So we have 3 different undergraduate opportunities and 3 different undergraduate programs that are available to you. So the graduate programs up there at the top is in grey, but I've kept them there just so you can read over and see exactly what that sort of involves. So you can see how you can potentially move from starting in a diversity in business program and sort of move through to a summer internship or a work placement and then through to a graduate program. So I'll talk to you about our diversity in business programs in a second, but this is what Gonnie did. So these are 3-day programs. As I mentioned, they are paid. And at the end of doing that 3-day program, you do have the opportunity to take up a summer internship, providing that sort of nothing dramatic happens on that 3-day program, and your performance is sort of to a certain level, which, to be quite honest with you, it's just being professional and acting as you would in any business in order for you to secure that internship. The summer internships, you can see here the start dates. You can see the dates for the diversity and business program on there as well, but the summer internships, they vary in terms of length. I'll talk to you in a bit more detail in a second, but just to give you a quick snapshot. And they're a really good head start for grad roles. As you could see from Chloe, like, to be promoted to manager within 5 years is really impressive. That does not happen to everybody that enters the business, even at grad level. So it's really good to see that sort of the summer internship gives you that responsibility to give you that head start. And then work placements. So there might be some of you that are on 4-year sandwich courses that are looking for a year placement or an 11-month placement. We do also offer those in various different business areas. I've seen a couple of questions as well around the, like, how do I know what business area is right for me? It's always quite a difficult one, because, like, we do get a lot of people saying, can I speak to somebody about it? But I think that the best way that you can find out what business area is right for you is by doing your own independent research and attending events that we've got, and speaking to people in those business areas. Like, you could speak to a recruiter, but a recruiter isn't going to know your own personal motivations. So we always encourage you to do your research on the website. There's so much information out there, and then attend some of our events, which I'll talk to you about after this. So the diversity programs, so the Women in Business and Black Talent in Business programs, so they are 3-day paid programs from the 18th to the 20th of April. So that's for spring 2023. Applications are open to first-year students only, or if you're in your second year of a 4-year degree. So slightly complicated there, but some of you might have looked at, and Goni, when you applied, we were open for penultimate year students, but that's no longer the case this year. It's only for first year students or second year of a 4-year degree. As I mentioned, this could lead to an offer of a summer internship or 11-month business placement. You gain an insight into what a career at PwC could look like. You get to meet mentors and buddies who'll represent the variety of opportunities available across the PwC. And you'll meet some of our really fantastic female and Black colleagues to hear about their own personal career journeys, and as well as hear from some of our networks focused on inclusion and diversity. So these are programs that, it really gives you like an insight. And for someone like Goni, who, has heard about actuary and, potentially wants to do that as a career, I'd imagine it was a really good sort of 3-day experience to be able to just understand if that's definitely what she wants to do. So that's very much why we have these programs sort of for those audiences. Okay, then moving on to the summer internship. So we've got over 500 summer internships available in a variety of business areas and locations. Again, sorry to keep saying this, but the best way to find, what we've got in what office is to go on the website. There are 4, 6, 8 or 10-week paid programs, depending on the line of service. But our most common sort of length is 4 to 6 weeks. And they will all start on the 3rd of July this year. So just, if you're thinking of booking holidays, avoid the 3rd of July onwards. The applications are open to penultimate year students or final year students with a 1-year postgraduate degree place confirmed. So if you're going on to do a master's, and it's a 1-year master's, you are welcome to apply for an internship. This could lead to a graduate offer. We really try and make sure that we are able to offer people off the back of the internship. Again, this is all performance related, and that will be discussed with you throughout your internship. You will work alongside specialists in the chosen business area. You get assigned to real client projects. You're doing real work on the internship. I think sometimes interns get the rep that they're just like getting tea and coffee. That's absolutely not the case. You're working with clients, you're working alongside people in the business. So you really get a sense of what it's like to be at PwC. Here it says you get graduate level responsibility as well. So that's what our summer internships look like. Then we've got work placement. So as I've mentioned, some of you might be on sandwich year courses and wanting to hear a little bit more about how you can, come and work for us a little bit longer. So we have 11-month placements for these students, and this is completed as part of your undergraduate degree. So again, this could lead to a job offer. So actually within the student recruitment team, we recruit sort of business placement students, and we have sort of actually we have more than that. I think we have almost 10 per year that come and work in student recruitment for 11 months, and some of them have gone on, they've gone back to university now, but they'll be coming back to join us next year, which is really exciting. It depends on the business area that you join, but there is an opportunity to begin a professional qualification whilst you're actually, doing that 11-month placement. So audit's a really good example. You can actually start studying towards your ACA qualifications during your business placement, which is amazing, because then when you start as a grad, you've got a lot of your sort of exams out of the way. And you complete the same work and benefit from the same training and you benefit from the same training as our first year graduate recruits as well. So yeah, it's a really nice 11 months where you get that support from the business, you get that investment, ready for you to hit the ground running when you come back as a grad. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the selection process. So again, keep those questions coming if you, if anything's cropping up as we go along, and then there will be an opportunity for questions at the end. So spoken to you about the programs, how do you actually apply? So applications are open for all of our programs. So you can go on the website and find our internship, business placement and diversity program applications now. I would always say the sooner the better in terms of getting your application in. There are deadlines for certain roles and they'll be on the job description. But, we certainly say to people, if you're very particular about an office location or a particular line of service, get in sooner rather than later, or at least start the process going. So Pwc application form is your first step. Then you move on to our behavioural-based assessments. You might have heard or seen or done psychometric tests before when it comes to applying for various different, routes. Our version is a behavioural-based assessment. It's game-based. Gonny can probably shed a little bit of light on it. I'm very lucky, didn't have to do it myself. But I'm sure Gonny can give you some tips if you want any on that assessment. But what I would say is it's something that you definitely can't, cheat. I'll explain exactly what it involves, but it involves looking at different data points in terms of your responses, and there's not necessarily a right or wrong way of you going about this behavioural based assessment. Then we have a video interview that's called our career conversation, and then we have a virtual career focus day. So our assessment days are virtual, and that allows you to be able to dial in from across the UK or even abroad if you're abroad, and still be able to assess for our roles, which is great. And then finally, there'll be a senior interview, but this is only for some roles. In fact, Gonny, do you have a senior interview at all for actuarial, or have you not at this stage?
I think normally you do, but I haven't had one.
No, I think maybe after the internship you might, but yeah, brill, thank you. Okay, so application form. So your personal details, educational history, extenuating circumstances, reasonable adjustments and equal opportunities. Really straightforward. We're not assessing you at this point. It is literally just getting your details ready to move you to the next stage. So once you've done that application form, I think I've seen a few questions in and comments around like cover letters, CVs. No, we don't ask for those at all. This is your application. It's just to, any extenuating circumstances that you've got, please do declare them. Any reasonable adjustments, again, do declare them. We'll make every possible. We're a very inclusive employer. We'll make what adjustments we can for the application process. So Career Unlocked. I remember these back when I was a student a long time ago, and we do understand that psychometric tests can be very stressful. We have designed our behavioural-based assessment Careers Unlocked. It's games-based to be tech-enabled and enjoyable, and it's one of those things where, as I mentioned, you can't really cheat the system. It's proven that gamers don't have an advantage to completing these assessments. And we're assessing up to 12,000 data points. So therefore, you just can't guess the answer that we're looking for. It's just a case of doing this test, enjoying it, just getting on with it, and sort of seeing how you get on. And you can do the test on a phone, tablet, or computer. Gonny, quite often we get asked about the behavioural based assessment. Have you got any sort of like insight? How did you find it? Like, you know,
I think the most important thing is making sure you're in a quiet space to do it, where you won't be disturbed, and that you've got really good internet connection. And other than that, I don't think there's that much you can prepare for it, just because there's so many different elements to the test.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have an employability hub that I can post in the chat for you to go to, where you can like do a little bit of like a practice run kind of thing, and it chats you through the behavioural based assessment. So it's always worth doing that before you actually sit the test itself. Okay, moving on to our career conversation. So this is potentially a bit of a weird one because it says video interview, but there is not someone on the other side interviewing you back. It is you sit and you speak into, I suppose, like a you're speaking into a video camera, I guess, where you'll be asked some questions. We'll ask you why PwC. We'll pose some scenario-based questions to you, and also we'll ask you to do a mini case study, where you'll have some time to prepare and then feedback. Gonny, again, I'm just going to throw this over to you. How did you find that? Like, what was any tips for that one?
I think this one's actually a lot easier than the interview with another person. That I found this one a lot easier, and the best way to prepare again is just to go on the Employability Hub. I think they have practice questions as well there.
Yeah, absolutely. Fab, thank you. Okay, and then finally we have our career focus day. So this is our virtual assessment day. So before the day, you will receive a candidate readiness call, which will help you prepare for the day. Take this call, take the help. We are offering you it to try and help you through the day. It's an idea. It's not a test. We're not assessing you in that call. We literally want to call you and talk you through the day so that you can prepare. So take that call. We'll explain the format of the virtual focus day and how to prepare. And also, depending on the program that you apply for, it could be a mixture of independent and group working, an interview, and a group task. It will just depend on your role that you're applying for. The day is completely virtual, and usually you can pick a date that suits you. So that could be a morning or an afternoon at one of our assessment centres throughout the week. Any reflection on the career focus day, Gonny?
Definitely take the call. It really helps just to talk through some of what you're going to expect. And again, just making sure you're in a quiet space where no one will disturb you for the day. I think that's the one which I was the most stressed out for. But as you go throughout the day, you actually kind of forget that you're in an assessment.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. And the assessment days are designed to give you like a little bit of a snapshot as to what it's like to work at PwC as much as we can in an assessment. So yeah, that's good to hear. Like, we want candidates to enjoy the experience and for it to be, I suppose, like a real insight into what you'd be doing and things like that. So I guess that is good to hear. Fab. As we mentioned, there are a small number of roles that require a senior interview. These are held by a member of the business, and your recruiter would be in touch if you needed this. And this is also stated on the job description, so it won't be a surprise to you because you'll have read about it when you apply. So what does the process look like for our diversity programmes? So Gonny, you're already aware, but we have made a few changes this year, which it could have saved you a little bit of time. If you're applying for the first, if you're in your first year and you want to apply for our Women in Business or Black Talent in Business programme, the process is application form, then the behavioural based assessment, then the video interview, but there is no group assessment. You will just go straight through to offer if you pass the video interview. The reason for that is because the 3 days programs will almost sort of will inbuild like a way of sort of like assessing you. Again, like I say, it's all down to your professionalism and how you approach the 3-day experience as to whether we then offer you an internship. But we feel pretty confident that the first part of the assessment process will assess you and your abilities for you to be able to do our 3-day program. And then we feel confident that if you get to an internship, that sort of experience over the summer will help both us and yourself decide whether PwC is right for you. Okay, and then we move through to summer internship, work placement and graduate programs. So the only difference here is that the career focus day, so that assessment centre, that virtual assessment centre is in here. So you go application form, behavioural based assessment, video interview, career focus day and offer. It goes without saying, this is because these are longer roles. So we have an assessment day to make sure that you are the right fit. And so, yeah, if you are applying for those roles, then you just have that additional assessment day in there. Fab. Okay, so that does bring me to the end of the presentation. So I can see sort of lots of questions in the chat. I've lost track, so I don't know if there's any themes coming through.
Yeah, there's a couple themes. I've tried to sort of group some of them together. So the first one I've seen quite a lot of is people asking about master's students or graduates. I think you mentioned that. I just wanted to touch on that again, please.
Yeah, so anyone that's graduated or is a master's student, the opportunities for that are the graduate scheme. We are having a very, very small postgraduate intake for audit 3-day program, part of our diversity program. So it's not an internship, it's a 3-day women in business, black talent in business program that's happening just before Christmas. But it's a pilot program. It's very, very small, so it's almost sort of not necessarily, and it's only an audit. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye out on the website. But otherwise, if you are a master's student or you're a graduate, you can't do an internship with us or a business placement. You'd have to go straight into the graduate scheme.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that, Charlotte. I've seen a few questions as well, one from Tasha and one from Rasaki, asking about opportunities for international students or people not based in the UK.
So we ask you to be based in the UK for the duration of the program. So if you were to do the Women in Business and Black Talent in Business program, that's 3 days. For those 3 days, you'd need to be based in the UK, and the same for your summer internship and obviously your work placement. However, we do take applications from international students and we do sponsor visas. It's worth saying that you do need to have some kind of like permit or work permit. It's like a student visa, I suppose, for when you're doing the Women in Business, Black Talent in Business or any of the undergraduate programs, because we do pay you. So you have to have a UK bank account, etc. So it depends what you mean by international. If you're an international student studying in the UK, then absolutely you can apply for our programs. If you're based abroad and don't have any ties to the UK, then unfortunately we won't be able to sort of offer that.
Okay. I'm going to do quick fire questions. I know we've got about 15 minutes or so. I just feel like I'm grouping loads of them up. And please do keep putting them in the chat as well. Like I say, we've got about 15 minutes, plenty of time for questions as well. So I've seen a fun question come in from Emmy. You mentioned that you didn't have to put in your CV when you first applied. And I'm going to combine that with Alexandra's question about, do you need to have a certain level of maths or English? So yeah, do you ever get asked for your CV, or is it purely based on these assessments?
No, so you don't. Well, I'm saying this. So for any of our graduate and undergraduate roles, no. When I applied to work for Pwc, bearing in mind I graduated 10 years ago, I did put my CV in, but it was a completely different recruitment process. I didn't go through. I came in as what's called an experience hire, where it is slightly different. Any of the graduate roles, no CV. I think it's probably worth mentioning. I don't know how many of you have actually looked into graduate schemes. I've been in student recruitment for 10 years, and I must say that I don't think there is any graduate employer left that would ask for a CV. None of the big graduate employers anyway. This selection process that I've just spoken you through is very, very common across most of the big graduate employers, certainly the big four. And yeah, other graduate employers that I used to work for, that we wouldn't ask for CVs. So it's probably worth mentioning, like, it's great that you've got a CV and you might use that further down the line, but do make sure you look at application processes and exactly what they involve. And I think you'll be surprised how many don't ask for CVs anymore. It's quite outdated.
Okay, thank you for that, Charlotte. There's a question for you, Gonnie, about the career focus day. How did you find it, and was it competitive, is the question that's been asked?
So I think out of the whole stages, that was my favourite part, because I had the opportunity to work with other people. It wasn't competitive, as we were all working together for the same goal. And I found in my group, there was no one who had applied to the same lines of service. So yeah, I really enjoyed that part.
Okay, that's interesting to hear that it wasn't necessarily competitive. You just like working with people. There's a question that came through earlier. I'm just trying to see if I can find out who it was from, but I thought it was quite interesting because the question asked, it's from Moyo. What kind of things did you do outside of university that might have helped your application?
So I play hockey. I'm part of academic societies at my university. I'm a very outdoors person, so I did include all of these things in my application. I think there was a section where you could describe everything which you did. So just things like joining societies and clubs and sports, I think, does help boost your application a little bit.
Yeah, Charlotte, how about you? Is there anything that you did outside of university that you felt like helped?
Yeah, I mean, I guess from what I'd say with assessing candidates, I mean, my university days were a long time ago and I didn't actually go straight into PwC. But what I would say is we have what's called our Pwc Professional, which again, you can find on the website. And this is 5 core skills that we're looking for across the recruitment process. It's nothing surprising. It's things like leadership skills, communication skills, business acumen. Now, when Goni will have done her assessment centre, she'll have been taken into an interview where there'll have been questions that were geared around like sort of, I guess, we don't actually ask like, can you name a time when? We don't ask those kind of questions. We sort of almost put scenarios to you. But if you've got some experience in like leading a team, doing extracurricular activities or something like that, it might help with your confidence in answering that question because you might have experienced it outside of like a sort of a university sort of bubble, if you like. I guess I do always encourage people to try and, make sure you understand. I think the biggest thing, in terms of like when it takes for people to get through the assessment process, the biggest thing that we notice is the people that have done their, they're applying because they want to do work in that business area. They have done their research. They know what, the most recent developments are in audit. They know what PwC have been doing in that space and they're able to talk about it. So doing extra research on the outside around the business area, really taking an interest in it and not just applying to consulting because you've heard that your mates are applying to consulting. So you think that's the right thing to do. Apply to consulting if that's what you want to do as an individual and you've got a real vested interest in that as a business area. So I guess that's less about the extracurricular activities and more about how you prepare, but we don't actually ask that in the assessment process. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, no, thank you for that from me. I'm sure that's helpful for a couple of people that put that in chat as well. So maybe less like some other interviews that people might have for jobs that say, tell me about a time when you've done X, Y, Z. A few more questions coming in. I think we touched upon it a little bit earlier about specific roles. So there's one about marketing internship roles and also about legal internship roles.
Yeah. There is definitely legal roles. I don't think they're live on the website yet. But keep an eye out. You can sign up to our talent network where we will give you an update as to when these roles are open. And there is a virtual park event happening with our legal roles. So yes, there are legal roles. What was the other one? Sorry.
So there's legal and marketing.
No, we don't have any marketing internships.
Okay. There's a couple questions I'll try and group together somehow, which is about if you apply through the assessment centre and maybe you have an off day, you're not at your best, or you apply for one and don't get through, can you still apply for other areas? What's the process like that, please?
So you can only apply for one job every 6 months. So choose carefully. And I suppose what we do say to students is, if you aren't successful after your career focus day, you do get the opportunity for feedback. Goni, did you get feedback after your assessment day? I know you were successful, but did you get that feedback as well?
Yeah, I got a phone call and then I got very detailed feedback on what went well and what perhaps didn't go as well.
Yeah, so we provide feedback to everybody, whether they're successful or not, to help you sort of have a bit of direction as to what maybe you need to do in the future in order to be successful. So whilst we can't, accept multiple different applications for multiple different roles. You choose that one role, hone in on that role, focus on preparing yourself for the assessment day. And if you're not successful, you will get the opportunity to apply again. But we do ask for a 6-month window, simply because, you know, it gives you that opportunity to go away and work on what you need to work on. And hopefully that's a good thing, as opposed to anything else. But yeah, it is just one role, unfortunately.
Okay, no, that's fair. There's another question come through that I'll point to you, Gonny, which is about when you did your internship, did you have a chance to kind of like try out and get a taste for other departments, or were you sort of focused on your one thing?
I actually was quite fortunate, as I applied to the risk modelling team and I managed to speak to actuaries in the pensions team as well. So they are slightly related, but very different teams. So you might have the opportunity of that, but I wouldn't say different lines of service.
Yeah, it would be quite rare that you'd get the opportunity to, on your internship, to work cross line of service. You might, you know, we do say to our, specifically, I think particularly for our interns that are there for longer, like Gonny, I guess, was only on that 3-day experience, but over the 6 weeks that you're on the internship, you can meet up with people and have coffees and things like that. If you want to chat to someone, you know, you're doing an audit internship, but you want to chat to someone in actuarial, then, you know, you could set that up and we'd help you do that.
Okay, nice one. Yeah, thank you. I can see a couple more questions coming through again about masters. Just for clarity, Charlotte, can you go through that once more, please?
Yeah, sorry, what are the questions? Like, can you do internships for masters?
Yeah, so do you offer internships for master's students, or?
No, we don't.
No. Okay, yeah, so that's just for a couple of people in chat, just for clarity, in case you missed it earlier. So not for master's students.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. We still got a few more minutes, or 5-10 minutes or so, for a couple more questions to come through. I'm scrolling up and down, trying to make sure I don't miss any. But if there are any that I haven't answered for a while, please feel free just to pop them in chat again.
I'm also just popping a few links in the chats as well to help you with navigating our website, because it is a big website. But there's the Employability Hub that I spoke about that gives you all the top tips for sort of the assessment process. There's also our events as well. So if you've got a specific line of service that you want to find out about, you can join our virtual park, brand new virtual park this year. It's I guess it's like I mean, I am not techie in any way, but it's like a bit of a metaverse style thing where you sort of go in and you've got an avatar and you can meet people in that park and speak to them about the line of service. We've actually got an audit event next Tuesday. So if you're interested in a career in audit, you could sign up to that event and come and speak to people that are working in audit to hear a little bit more.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Please pop them in chat. A question from me, actually, for both of you. Can you tell me a bit more about how you found your own path within PwC, or found the area that really interested you? What was the process like for finding that?
Gonny, I'll let you go first.
So I always wanted to be an actuary, so I think it was quite an easy decision for me, as I do study actuarial science at university. And PwC does have actuarial internships, so it was quite straightforward for me.
Who was it that got you into? I mean, I honestly never heard of actuary until I joined PwC. So who was it that got you into that?
I think because I always liked maths, so I was looking for something that was mathematical, and so someone mentioned that, oh, you should look into being an actuary, and so I did a lot of research behind that, and I thought that would be a good career path. So I think definitely if you're looking for a specific line of service, draw on your strengths, what you're really interested in, that would be my advice.
Yeah, definitely. Completely agree. I mean, I mean, like I said, I'm a talent engagement manager. I work in the student recruitment team, so my path into PwC has been quite different. My sort of drive and motivation is working with students and getting them to realise their full potential and like what they can achieve, whether that's on an internship, whether that's as graduates. And I also manage the Flying Start. I don't know if you've heard of Flying Start, but that's our accounting degree program at the University of Reading. So I really love that, because you sort of see students starting in their first year through to their fourth year and sort of then going off into the business and being amazing auditors and accountants. So that's my passion. And I think, like Gonny's hit the nail on the head there, like you really need to, when you're choosing your career, I've worked in student recruitment for my whole career. I love it. It really is something I'm passionate about. And I think without honing in on your skills and honing in what you're passionate about, you're not necessarily going to want to pursue that career for years to come. And so I'd really encourage you to do your research, take opportunity. You know, it's great that you've even dialed into this event to find out more. Like, this is a great first step in your career. So, you know, doing that, coming along to our virtual park events as well. And, you know, other employers have also got similar events, and really doing that before you decide to apply to a certain business area, career path. We totally appreciate there's a lot out there. It's worth me mentioning that, you know, when you join PwC as a graduate, you're not necessarily completely like honed in on one business area and line of service. There is a process to go through, but as you can see, Chloe made her way up to manager in consulting and then moved into business solutions. There is that opportunity as well. So I think it's worth me pointing it out that as a graduate, you do have opportunities to move line of service.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you both of you for sharing a bit more about how you found your path within PwC. A couple more questions that I might be able to quickly go over. Aaron's asked about internships for master's students, so there's none available for master's students. Emily's asked about a graduate role that would suit a STEM graduate. So yeah, I mean, you guys might be able to touch on it there, but I think what Charlotte and Gonny have just mentioned there, which might help with Sana's question above, actually, there's no one person that you can kind of speak to or ring up and say, what is my correct career path? A lot of it comes from drawing on your own strengths, what you think you're really good at, but also a lot of research. Charlotte's popped a couple of links in the chat as well that you can check out, just to sort of find where your interest and flow takes you, as well as what you know you're really good at as well. A couple more questions about the women in business and black talent in business and other diversity intern programs you've got. So I don't know whether it's worth going back to that slide or whether you can talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, I can go back to the slide. What's the question? What are the questions?
Yeah, so Juliet's asked, do you have any other diversity internship programs? And Joseph... Oh, go on.
Oh, no, sorry. I was just going to say, at the moment, no, we don't. We are looking into it, but you know, for those of you that know professional services well, you'll know that the two big main problems that we have in not just PwC, and in fact, it's not, you know, we're actually making some real good gains at PwC, but across all professional services firms, is women representation and people from Black heritage. So that's why we've chosen to focus on those two programs for now. But that's not to say there won't be any in the future.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that might answer Joseph's question about the women in business and black talent strictly for black women. I think they're two separate programs.
Yeah, they are two separate programs. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's see if there's any more. See other ones coming through. So we've got a couple more minutes, so we might have time for one or two more questions to come through. Okay, here's an interesting one. Come through from Sana. So if someone's done a graduate leadership program with another organization, is the route into PwC still an internship or a graduate program?
It's a graduate program, so you can apply for a graduate scheme at any point. So it doesn't matter if you've done a graduate scheme elsewhere. You can apply for another graduate. The only thing is I mean, I can see she's put Teach First, which I know doesn't have sort of any kind of, it does have a professional qualification, but it doesn't have like a accountancy or anything like that. As long as you've not started an ACA qualification or completed it, and then the graduate scheme would put you through another ACA qualification, if that makes sense. That's just something to be aware of, but that wouldn't be applicable for Teach First.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. A couple of people want to ask Chloe some questions as well. Is there any way they can contact Chloe?
I definitely can't give out her email address without asking her, so I'm going to say no, unfortunately. I mean, it depends. It depends what the questions are as well, like whether that's something that they could pop into the virtual park and ask and things like that. But also, when you do start an application, you can reach out to a recruiter as well, who like might be able to answer some of those questions or hook you up with someone to speak to. I'm sorry, I was just looking through to see if there's any specific questions that I might be able to help with, but I don't think there is.
Yeah, no, not to worry. Yeah, like I said, it's difficult to get
if she was still here, I could maybe give her an email address, but I don't want to do that without permission.
No, that sounds very reasonable. It has come around to 6 o'clock. I'm aware that quite a lot of people have got to jump off and go on with their evenings. We might be able to hang around for 1 or 2 more minutes, where both Charlotte and Gunny have things to do this evening as well, aside from this.
There are a couple of questions around qualifications, and I just want to clear up. So just to be super clear that, I mean, what we ask for is detail on the job descriptions, but we no longer, we don't ask for any kind of degree, background or discipline. You can come from any degree discipline. And so, you know, we don't ask for that. You can be studying a history degree and apply for any of our roles. We also no longer ask for people to be to achieve a 2-1 when they graduate. We've recently made that move to help with, I guess, both from a social mobility perspective, but also to recognise that potential in students. So you just need to be on track to receive a degree, and it doesn't necessarily matter whether that's a 2-2, 2-1, etc. And also we no longer ask for a set number of UCAS points when applying for our programmes. So we really are sort of widening the net, as it were, to make sure that as many people feel that they can have the opportunity to apply to PwC. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah, also I think that's actually really helpful for Emmy, who had the question for Chloe about what she did, even though she studied a science degree, to sort of pivot in towards business. So it sounds like it doesn't necessarily matter what your speciality is.
No, and I'd say, like, you know, anyone, what Chloe will have done, and that I can answer this for her, is she'll have gone on the website, she'll have researched business, her consulting, she'll have researched business areas to really like make sure that she was hot off the press in terms of what's happening in that business area. Just, I guess, best of luck to you all. Like, it's a very exciting time, sort of in your sort of early career, looking at your next steps and things like that. And I really do hope that, you know, this has helped you, and that, you know, hopefully you'll consider PwC as an option. But yeah, just best of luck with everything. I know it can be quite stressful, but enjoy it as well. Enjoy your university life. Gonnie, I don't know if you've got anything as well.
I think just enjoy the application process and the experience, as it is a really good experience, successful or not.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you both of you. And yeah, I think enjoy it. It sounded like when you were talking about the application process as well, and the assessment centres, they were actually quite fun as well. Maybe that's just us. Maybe that's just how we view them.
Probably in retrospect, they're fun. Maybe not at the time.
Yeah, maybe not at the time. Type 2 fun. But yeah, thank you both. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Gonnie, for coming on, and to Chloe as well, who had to leave a bit earlier. But thank you everyone in chat asking questions as well. Great to hear from you.